Good evening. Thanks for joining us. This is Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. I'm Ruth Aguela. In view of the security challenges in the southeast, governors from the 5 states in the region have risen from their meeting in Owerri with a resolve to set up a joint security outfit codenamed Agu. Chairman of the Forum and Governor of Ebonyi State, David Umahi, says the move is to complement efforts of the federal government in the fight against insecurity in the country. Bright Eberchuo has details.
The security meeting brought together governors of the 5 southeast states and heads of security agencies in the region who are in Owerri to deliberate on security challenges facing the southeast with a view to finding lasting solutions to the series of attacks in the region. Briefing journalists after the meeting held behind closed doors, Chairman of the Southeast Governors Forum, David Umahi, says the forum condemns the act of terrorism and banditry in any part of the country and the Southeast in particular, noting that he stands with the federal government in its fight against insecurity. They further condemn the violent attacks on the Owerri Custodial Center and the Imo State Police Command, affirming that the political leaders in the region have resolved to work together to flush out criminals and terrorists from the zone.
The meeting condemns very highly the killings in all Southeast in the recent time and asks the federal government and security agencies to bring justice to the victims.
To forestall further security breaches, Governor Mahi says security agencies have been mandated to draw up a comprehensive list of their logistics needs for the attainment of success in the fight against criminality.
The meeting resolved to maintain a joint security vigilante, which already has been formed in the 5 southeast states for the southeast, and the joint security outfit to coordinate the activities of our vigilante in the 5 south states shall from today be known and called Abuja Joint Security Outfit for Southeast.
While the meeting encourages peaceful coexistence, the members resolved to set up a committee to coordinate the implementation of the Southeast Joint Security Platform in Owerri. Bright Eberchuo, NTA News.
Troops of Operation Lafia Dole have eliminated 7 Boko Haram terrorists along Ugom Mafa Road in Borno State. A statement by the Director, Army Public Relations, Brigadier General Muhammad Yerima, says troops from Sector 1 Operation Lafia Dole were on picking operation when they spotted a terrorist in ambush position, waiting for troops and commuters plying the route. Several arms were recovered from the criminals that were forced to withdraw in disarray with injuries. Similarly, Army troops with support from the air component of Operation Lafia Dole thwarted Boko Haram terrorist incursion into the Masak Mobar local government area of Borno State. In a related development, Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Sadia Umar Farouk, has condemned the terrorist attack on humanitarian aid facilities and killing of civilians in Damasak, Mobar local government area of Borno State. In a statement issued by the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry, Bashir Noura Al-Khali, the minister expressed concern over the frequent attacks on humanitarian aid facilities in the northeast region of the country, saying the violent attack will affect the support provided by the aid workers to hundreds of thousands of people in need of humanitarian assistance and protection in the area. The minister commended the security agencies, members of the Civilian Joint Task Force and hunters that assisted in repelling the attack. Let's shift our attention to Ramadan as the Muslim community in Nigeria prepares to join the global community to begin this year's Ramadan fast. Correspondent Abubakar Usman Akwanga examines the significance of the 4th pillar of Islam.
Ramadan is the 9th month of the Islamic lunar calendar, and it is in this month that Allah revealed the glorious Quran to mankind through Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Barely few hours to the commencement of the spiritual exercise, Muslims the world over are looking out for the sighting of the crescent moon, which will mark the end of the month of Sha'ban. Ramadan is usually observed for 29 or 30 days and categorized into three parts. The first 10 days which offers repentance, the second 10 days which grants forgiveness, and the last which attracts Allah's mercy.
If you notice when you are fasting, many things you drop it. So if you can drop it during the month of Ramadan, it means you are being trained how to maintain peace, how to be custodian of peace, then how to make sure that you are the one that makes where you are better.
During the period, Muslims are expected to refrain from eating, drinking, and abstain from sexual intercourse in daytime, and also abstain from other non-permissible acts. A Muslim is strongly enjoined to make recitation of the glorious Quran a habit, give charity to the needy, and perform prayers in congregation. Allah says in the glorious Quran chapter 2 verse 183, "O you who believe, fasting is prescribed for you as it was prescribed for those before you, that you may develop God consciousness." This chapter may not apply on the aged, the sick, infant, expectant mothers, females in their menstrual cycle, and those on a journey sanctioned by Islam. In Abuja, Abubakar Usman Akwanga, NTA News.
Right, let's expand the discourse, and we have a guest joined us right now in the studio, Ustaz Mesuna Yahya, the founder of Al-Mustafia Society Abuja, to speak more on the activities of Ramadan. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Are you prepared for Ramadan?
Very, very much prepared.
Okay, so what actions or deeds, is expected of Muslims during this period?
For every person who expects a guest in his or her house must prepare for that guest. Ramadan is our guest, and we need to prepare and fully prepared. Number one, we have to prepare our hearts, because the Ramadan that we have to fast will go with our hearts. Number two, we prepare our homes. All the domestications that are needed must be on ground. Food, drinks, water, fruits, and all it takes. Number three, spiritually, we need to prepare. How well do we want to improve and improvise the provisions made for spiritualism? Recitation of the glorious Quran, doing our field, giving out more and more and more, and working towards more of peace and all it takes. So all these put together are parts of the preparations.
Okay, and of course we know, and you're aware, that some traders will use this period to inflate prices. You get to see that every year. Should it be so?
Inflation of price is a capital offense in Islam, because it causes a lot of havoc and all the negative actions on the people of the community. For example, in Islam, you are supposed to be lenient even in your business. You are supposed to show Allah's mercies. Now, for someone who has inflated the price, especially at this month again, even outside Ramadan is not welcome. Not talk of Ramadan. Ramadan, the month of mercy. What kind of mercy are you showing? But and yet you ask for Allah's mercies. So it's wrong. It's a bad act.
It's wrong, and we keep hearing that every time. But has there been any efforts, to reach out to these traders, to sensitize them, to stop this practice?
The devil is a teacher who teaches his clients even without salary. So he will want to penetrate into them. Despite this, there are few ones who reduce the price of them, but so minimal, considered to the larger number that practice that. So on that note, it is not everybody, but majority. And therefore it means one should always think, what gains will I have if I inflate prices? Two, if Allah should bring his punishment later after the period of inflation, Allah can send fire there and disaster will come, inferno, and that is the end. The gains and the capital will all just go.
Yes,
minus that, even in the hereafter, that person is going to be questionable also. So why do that?
Okay, this would be the second Ramadan amidst COVID-19 pandemic. What advice would you give the Ummah, especially when it comes to congregational activities?
One, in Islam, health is first. If Allah asks you to do something, or it has been practiced by the Prophet, health first. Then we should manage our health. We should observe the COVID-19 protocols. We need to keep a little distance between and among. Then it is always good to put on our nose mask. Nose mask, it is not even supposed to be only when COVID-19 is visiting. Because some don't have the habit of covering their noses, their mouth, when they sneeze. And in prayer, when you sneeze and you open your mouth, and when you cough, and you yawn and you open your mouth, it has spoiled some element of your prayer. So on that note, in line with COVID-19, let us try to use our nose mask in case somebody wants to impromptu sneeze or cough.
All right, so what are your final thoughts? We'll round it up.
My final thought is that let us make this year's Ramadan to be, exemptionally different positively. Why? Because no one knows and no one can tell. Could this be the last for you or I? So let's do it as if we will not do another one. Then we achieve our rewards.
In supplication and steadfast.
Supplications for ourselves, for families and Nigeria, and globally, we need to pray a lot.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much, Ustaz Mesuna. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You know you schooled me with your name.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. All right, let's go on a break. We're back. Stay tuned.
Recently, both the president and vice president demonstrated leadership by being among the first Nigerians to have the AstraZeneca vaccine administered to them on live TV for all in the country to see. Subsequently, many federal ministers, political leaders, and members of the Presidential COVID-19 Task Force have publicly taken the vaccine to follow in the footsteps of President Buhari and Vice President Oshibaja. To obtain it yourself, please go to the NPHCDA website. There is a link to click on in order to register and schedule your vaccination. In the meantime, please continue to wear face masks, wash your hands frequently, use hand sanitizer, and observe social distancing. This message was brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
From dusk to dawn, 24 hours a day, NTA International is with you. In your living room, office, and everywhere, anywhere. We provide a company you desire in terms of balanced and up-to-date news, programs, and the best of entertainment. Tune in to DSTV channel 251, GoTV channel 91, Freeview channel 264, or live streaming via www.visiontv.co.uk. Application for iOS or Android. You can also see us on Facebook and YouTube for quality content on the go. NTA International, Africa's window to the world.
Wonderful news. The village headmaster is coming back to your screen. Mo wire abi mi o wire. Teacher you a fẹ́ lọ wá nǹkan jẹ. Teacher you a fẹ́ lọ wá nǹkan jẹ.
The premiere of the new season of The Village Headmaster, initially scheduled for the second quarter of 2021, has now been postponed till further notice. We apologize for this short notice and promise to keep our viewers and advertisers informed as soon as we have a new date.
And I know that even you too, you are getting a lot of orders too. We are trying, Shao.
Thanks for staying tuned. The Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria is advising passengers, drivers and other airport users, particularly those at the General Aviation Terminal Lagos, to always comply with all laid down protocols on COVID-19 to ensure safety of all airport users. In a statement by the General Manager, Corporate Affairs, Henrietta Yakubu, the agency emphasized that, in line with government protocols, arriving passengers are to walk down to designated car parks to board their vehicles, as drivers are no longer permitted to pick up arriving passengers at the frontage of the terminals. For departing passengers, drivers are only allowed to drop them off in front of the terminals. They are not permitted to wait for any reason after dropping their passengers, as such areas are now drop-off zones. All right, let's head to Lagos, and Kende is ready for the next set of reports. Kende.
Hello, Ruth, and welcome to Lagos. And we're still sticking to transportation. Except in heavy traffic, it may take about 30 to 45 seconds for speeding vehicles to overtake one another. Very short, right? But those few seconds can be traumatizing for some road users, especially where such scenarios involve truck bearing unlatched containers. Adeniyi Taiwo tells us why this is so in this report.
Trucks bearing containers are a major part of the nation's distribution network, moving goods from the nation's port across different parts of the country. So, their presence is everywhere and can sometimes pose danger to other road users.
The frequency of crashes involving these categories of vehicles can be attributed to condition of the road, the proficiency of the drivers handling the trucks, and the condition of the trucks itself.
Queen Amabi may have been driving for about 15 years, yet she says she is uncomfortable with the sight or presence of trucks bearing containers around her while on the wheels.
They should have a specific time for their movements.
You see them, you'll be afraid because you see many of those trailers, they look very bad.
Their apprehension stems from frequent cases of accidents involving unlatched containers on the nation's highways, especially along the Ojuelegba Stadium corridor in Surulere, Lagos, one of which almost claimed Khadijat Oreniwa's life.
The fear of the container falling off the bridge was what was on our mind, but unknowingly it was going to fall on our car.
I am standing right here on Ojuelegba Bridge in Lagos. This is one of the scenes that is said to be notorious for container accidents. Well, I may not be able to reconstruct how it happens, but I can imagine that when they struggle to climb the bridge from this point, with what people say is overload, they struggle and sway, and down this way, the container will fall on human and other cargoes down there.
Vehicle that is Jeep, black Jeep. I think it's 2 and 3 people inside it. So, but before you will see it, the thing fall on their head.
While they blame the menace on poor safety practices among truck drivers, the issue of driving poorly latched containers requires more than passing interest from relevant government agencies.
We have also supported this with a series of enforcement that has been carried out by the corps and is an indirect way of sending signals to the truckers and other road users.
The consensus among those affected is that container accidents can be avoided, especially if premium is paid on safety regulations by all concerned. In Lagos, Adeniyi Taiwo, NTA News.
Now to security matters. To encourage officers and men of the nation's military for their relentless fight against insecurity, National President of the Nigerian Army Officers' Wives Association, Fatih Atairu, has visited personnel currently hospitalized at the Army Reference Hospital, Yaba, Lagos. Diana Ajale reports.
The National President, Nigerian Army Officers' Wives Association, said the visit was to have a feel of the hospital environment and show love to affected officers and soldiers currently receiving medical treatment at the Nigerian Army Reference Hospital in Yaba.
From the Chief of Army Staff, I bring greetings, and on behalf of all the NAWA members, we want to present this small token to you. Thank you so much. To get well sooner.
The gesture was not limited to officers, but extended to the 136 patients, comprising 1 officer, 56 soldiers, and 79 civilians.
This is one of our maiden outreach programs to hospitals. We felt that obviously this is currently we're in a situation where there are several battle fronts in Nigeria, and this is where some of the patients come. So we felt we should come and see them, reach out to them.
The visitors were taken around the various facilities, led by the acting chief medical director, Colonel Sheyi Solomon, who applauded the initiative.
That token will go a long way to support a lot of them, buying drugs, even for their families. So I think their visit will make a lot of difference in the life of the patients.
The Nigerian Army Officers' Wives Association has over the years touched many lives positively through various humanitarian projects. In Lagos, Diana Ajale, NTA News.
And that's a contribution from Lagos. Ruth, it's back to you.
Thank you, Kendi. The United Nations Second South-South Food Systems Summit, an exploratory dialogue 2021, is calling on participants to come up with practical solutions to end hunger and improve food security in Nigeria. Paul Abel reports that this was at the flag off of the summit held in Calabar.
With the world being ravaged by hunger and poverty, the United Nations Food System Summit, initiated by the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, is to bring transformation through the realization of the 17-point SDGs in the Vision 2030 agenda. The approach is using 3 levels of dialogue, namely inception, exploratory, and consolidatory. Participants from Cross River, Akwa Ibom, and River States in this exploratory dialogue are to share initiatives, ideas, experiences, and views, while the host governor of Cross River State, Ben Ayade, charges organizers and stakeholders to translate paper presentations, technical sessions into tangible outcomes of food safety and sufficiency.
Concerted efforts are therefore needed for us to achieve food security, not only for the South-South region, but also for Nigeria and the world at large.
His Excellency the Governor, Mr. Udom Gabriel Emmanuel, believes in agriculture as the way of reducing poverty in the society.
The Nigerian National Food Service System dialogue will eventually enable the government to develop a plan of action to improve nutrition security, reduce hunger.
During the dialogue, discussions centered on qualitative food and access, policies, gender issues, nutrition, among others in the zone.
Agriculture is like life for us vaccine, because people have to feed, people have to survive, because food security is the #1 agenda under the United Nations Charter.
At this exploratory level, 12 of these dialogues are also taking place in different zones of the country, while the consolidatory dialogue is expected to hold in May 2021. In Calabar, Paul Abel, NTA News.
And Kaduna will be our next stop. Salamatu will definitely guide us. Salamatu.
Thank you, Ruth, and a warm welcome. As Muslims look forward to sighting the crescent for the commencement of this year's Ramadan fast, a Kaduna-based clergy, Pastor Yohana Buru, has appealed to sellers of food items not to hike the prices of commodities. Adamu Sunday reports that Pastor Yohana led the campaign to the Abubakar Mahmoud Gumi market in Kaduna to enable Muslims to enjoy smooth Ramadan fast and Salah celebration. The report.
It is common practice for sellers of essential food items to hike prices of commodities during Ramadan fast or festive periods, taking advantage of the forces of demand and supply. The market have always paid dearly for it. It is against this backdrop, Pastor Yohana Buru of Peace Revival and Reconciliation Foundation went round the Kaduna Central Market to appeal to sellers of essential food items not to hike the price of food as Muslim faithful are set to commence the Ramadan fast.
We've agreed with them. They said they will do everything possible by reducing the price of essential commodity for the average Muslim to have access to what they want and get what they want, so that there will be easy life, or they have ease during the Ramadan period.
I will also join those people and appeal to them to consider and then leave the prices the way they are.
With this initiative, sellers of essential food items are expected to consider the less privileged while fixing the price of commodities in the holy month of Ramadan. In Kaduna, Sunday, NTA News.
And on agriculture, the federal government is committed to scaling up efficiency in the agricultural sector through special project of mechanization and other global best practices that guarantee the future of the sector. Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Mohammed Sabo Nanono, says the first phase of the program, which aims at enhancing food security, targets 632 local government areas of the country. Yohana Sohassan Barrow reports.
The federal government diversification mantra, which seeks to meet nations' demand for food sufficiency and increased earnings through export, has no doubt encouraged more people to venture into agricultural production. Although farmers across Nigeria have access to various support packages, the likes of which have never been seen before, many of them, like Muhammad Ibrahim, who ventures into onion production, are facing some challenges ranging from poor production practices that breed inefficiency to post-harvest handling and storage facilities.
It was very costly last year, so I ventured into its production so that I can see what I can earn from the business.
These and more stumbling blocks were the rationale behind the Farmers' General Assembly in Kano, which attracted crop and livestock producers alongside some actors within the value chain.
And looking forward to see the Farmers Association across the states coming to own this 90 centers that will run the agricultural organization in this country.
Big farmers having access to funds is something that this current administration under Mr. President Muhammad Buhari has done, which we have never witnessed for a very, very long time.
I'll say that farmers also have to realize that for the program to be sustainable, they must pay their loans.
The meeting, which addressed some challenges bedeviling the likes of Muhammad, is expected to ensure national security on food by ensuring value for farmers' produce. In Kano, Yohannes Ahasambaro, NTA News.
That is it on our package from here. Mina in our Enugu Network Center is standing by for more stories on Nationwide. But after these timeouts, stay with us.
Contemporary times require practical skills to remain competitive and relevant in your organization. Therefore, take advantage of NTA TV College short proficiency courses to sharpen your professional skills. Basic Broadcast Accounting and Auditing. Date 19th April to 30th April 2021. 2 weeks. Audio Engineering, Operations and Maintenance. Date 19th April to 23rd April 2021. 1 week. Protocol, Event Management and Public Relations. Date 3rd May to 14th May 2021. 2 weeks. Intermediate Camera Operation Techniques. Date 17th May to 11th June 2021. 4 weeks. The course fee for the 4-week course is 100,000 naira per participant. The fee for the 2-week course is 80,000 naira, while the course fee for the 1-week course is 40,000 naira only. Accommodation inclusive. Venue for all the courses is the serene and secure environment of NTA TV College near Old Government House, Rayfield, Jos. For more inquiries, please call 0803-314-4383 or 0806-980-9807. NTA TV College, Jos. Training you to be the best you want to be.
My name is Osage Ehanere. I am Minister of Health. We have just taken the vaccine. It is the AstraZeneca vaccine. This vaccine is safe, properly researched. It is in use in many countries. We urge all Nigerians to submit themselves to taking this vaccine, persons who are 18 years old above. Otherwise, it is safe. You take your second dose after a period of about 10 to 12 weeks, and then you have immunity. Nigeria is aiming to vaccinate 70% of our population, and therefore be one of that 70% to give us herd immunity. Herd immunity means that Nigerians will not easily become infected even if they get in contact with the coronavirus.
Good evening and welcome to Enugu
With the digital learning and new strategic skills acquired from a 6-day seminar for principals and vice in public schools in the 6 educational zones of Enugu State, it is expected that standard of education will no doubt improve. Comfort IM reports on the 6-day seminar organized by the state government.
Of school principals and their voice under Obolo Education Zone with about 150 participants. Strategic leadership in public education sector, roles of principals and vice in education in Enugu State, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats were topical issues on agenda.
Be frank with yourself and say, what are the strengths of the school that have been posted? What are the weaknesses? What opportunities are bound around, and what are the threats? When you know all this, you will see that you will get a clearer picture of what exactly you want to do or what you want to achieve.
Spate of social vices in secondary schools requires strategic skills and proper planning to reduce it to the barest minimum. And when the school, this is the message Post-Primary Schools Management Board, PPSMB, seeks to trumpet.
During the period of this lockdown, many students were not going to school, and a lot of things was at a standstill position. So the training is not just for them to be empowered as leaders, but for them to upgrade themselves in a digital way.
We need more able-bodied young men to serve as security officers. Many of them even retired, so we don't have enough security officers in our school. If you visit some of our schools, you find out that some schools are using hired security officers.
Teachers will be next in line to enjoy the digital learning during the holiday. In Enugu, Comfort Ayim, NTA News.
The Onitsha River Port is now set to commence full barge operation in 2 weeks. Blessing Ayawa reports on this and the pace of work at the second Niger Bridge.
Manager Onitsha River Port reassured their earlier commitment to make the river a maritime port. To that effect, he said the management has taken delivery of licensed containers in readiness for the takeoff.
We had dredged in Niger sometime in the past, and there has been constant channel maintenance to make sure that even if there are restrictions, the channels are opened up so that there won't be hitches as soon as these barges started coming.
The port manager confirmed that all the facilities needed are on ground to commence full operation. Meanwhile, work at the second Niger Bridge is at 57% completion in spite of delay as a result of the coronavirus pandemic, while the Obosi-Owerri Interchange Bridge has reached an advanced stage. In Onitsha, Blessing Anyang, NTA News.
And that's it from here. It's now back to Ruth in Abuja for a continuation of Nationwide.
Thank you very much, Mina. Nigerians are enjoined to shun all activities inimical to peace and security of lives and property in the country. The Director General, National Emergency Management Agency, gave this advice when he visited internally displaced people of Asian Udim local government area who had taken refuge at St. Anne's Catholic Cathedral, Ikot Ekpene local government area of Akwa Ibom State. Charity James reports.
The recent security crisis in a Senudam local government area of Akwa Ibom State, where some suspected hoodlums attacked and killed some persons, including security personnel, has put most indigents of the area in disarray. Subsequently, a military operation was launched in the local government area for rescue of persons. The incidents resulted in the destruction of lives and property, as well as displacement of about 5,000 persons who fled to neighboring local government area. Some of the internally displaced persons are currently taking refuge at the St. Anne's Catholic Cathedral, Ikot-Ekpene local government area.
We are homeless. Most of us, we have something doing, our shops, we are farmers, we have have nothing to do now. You can see all of us, we have to sleep here. We spend our nights here.
Director General, National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, represented by the Zonal Director of NEMA, Port Harcourt Zone, accompanied with officials from State Emergency Management Agency, who was on the spot assessment of the plight of the people, said the visit was at the instance of Save Our Soul, SOS, sent by the state government for necessary reports and action.
It's indeed sad, and as an emergency agency, we can only come to do the assessment and report back to the agency firsthand.
So when I saw these people rushing into this compound, I had to tell the security people, the security of our compound, to allow them in.
St. Anne's Catholic Cathedral is one out of the many facilities where victims are camped by the Catholic Diocese of Irregular. In Irregular local government area, Charity James, NTA News.
Today is International Day for Street Children, which is meant to recognize the humanity, dignity and defiance of street children in the face of unimaginable hardships. International Day for Street Children, Louder Together, was launched on 12th April 2011 to give a louder voice to the millions of street children all around the world so that their rights cannot be ignored. Nearly all countries except the United States have signed and ratified the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child and have a legal obligation to work towards ensuring that all children's rights are integrated into national law. It is universally recognized that all children should have these rights realized. However, many government policies and practices still do not include street children. The pandemic has highlighted how street-connected children are too often excluded from accessing essential services such as healthcare, education, and access to justice. The plight of street children is again in the limelight, with the world marking the International Street Children's Day. Here in Abuja, a group of young children provided a platform for street children to have a say on their lives and aspirations. Let's hear more from Abdulmalik Hassan.
Like every child, street children have dreams and aspirations for better livelihood. This is what speech-impaired Saidu Yunusa represents as he sleeps on the streets and moves around conveying animals to abattoirs for some tokens to make ends meet for him and his sibling.
I want to be educated to be a better person in the society.
Just like Saidu, these children have ambitions to make contributions to the society. Experts believe that taking good care of street children will reduce crime rates and reduce the use of illicit drugs.
These children don't just need someone to remove them from the street and then tomorrow they're back in the street, because these children actually are being abused, sexually abused, being abused physically, being kidnapped. And you'll be surprised to actually find out what actually happens to these children.
A day to create that awareness that these children have a right like every other child. Their rights should not be violated. There should be like togetherness, there should be access to so many things that every other child enjoys.
All I really want is just to wake up in a place where everyone sees one and sees equal. No discrimination, nothing. And these street children can get quality education and become the future leaders of tomorrow.
It is the belief that with collaboration among stakeholders, this scourge can be rid of within a short period. Abdulmalik Hassan, NTA News.
Well, let's head to Jos to find out what are the latest stories there, and Felicia is set to guide us.
Thank you for joining us, and we begin with matters of health as full-scale medical services have commenced at the Jos University Teaching Hospital following the suspension of industrial action embarked upon by resident doctors. Ruth Stephen Hoke has the situation reports.
The strike paralyzed some activities at the Jos University Teaching Hospital for 10 days as OLE consultants, nurses and other medical officers offered services to patients. For patients on admission, the suspension is a great relief.
then do strike. So many souls have already go. I feel good. People feel good, man. Not only me. People feel good.
Should not wait until strike is resorted to before they pay or provide whatever recompense there is for doctors. They render essential service. And
activities within the hospital have, however, picked up. The resident doctors were seen providing medical services to patients in the hospital.
After a 4-week period, the association, the National Executive Council, will still meet and appraise the progress made in terms of implementation and fulfilling our demands.
They expressed optimism that the federal government will meet their demands. In Jos, Ruth Stephen Hockey, NTA News.
National Orientation Agency has emphasized the need for proactive engagement of youths as a remedy for youth restiveness. This is part of the resolutions at a youth summit organized by the agency in Jos. Rinred Silvanus Lott reports.
The development of any nation is dependent on the youths. In recognition of this, the National Orientation Agency held a summit which attracted participants from across the state to discuss the way forward.
The Nigerian youth will constitute the major and most active part in the development of a nation. And any nation that does not understand this to develop their youth is motivating its future.
Resource persons from the security and civil society emphasized the need for proper engagement of the youths for a positive change.
Young people have very fast means of sending message, whether it's good or it's bad. And so you take a risk of even excluding them in national discourse for national development.
If you do not carry the youth along in formulating policies that are geared towards national development, you will be formulating the wrong policies and there will be agitations.
Participants suggested the need for periodic meetings to enable them discuss issues of development. In Jos, Rinred Silvanus Lott, NTA News.
This is Nationwide. More reports in Abuja as we rejoin Ruth.
Very much, Felicia. Good governance, academic standard, management of resources, and quality assurance are vigorously pursued in Nigerian tertiary institutions to enhance quality education that will meet the satisfaction of students. This was re-echoed at the inauguration of visitation panels of 25 federal polytechnics and 21 colleges of education by Ministry of Education. The panels are to review the performance of the institution in different aspects so as to attain the objectives for which the institution was set up. Similar panels were inaugurated last in 2010, and these ones are expected to complete their findings between 2011 and 2020.
This is a fact-finding, resource verification, assessment of performance, and advisory expedition to these institutions. It is also a compliance verification and due diligence visit. It is not an opportunity to agree with the heads of those institutions on how to paper over the cracks in their institutions.
Each panel is expected to conclude its assignment and submit reports within 60 days. A look at other issues. The Zonal Congress of the People's Democratic Party Southwest is underway in Osogbo, the Osun State capital. Correspondent Femi Afariogun reports that there is a heavy presence of security agencies at the venue of the Congress to forestall any breach of the process. The chairman of the Zonal Congress, Benue State Governor Samuel Otom, who was represented by his deputy Benson Abo-Unu, presented the sensitive materials for the Congress before journalists. Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde, who is already at the venue, expressed optimism that the Congress will be free and fair. The PDP screening committee cleared 42 aspirants on Sunday for the 22 positions in the zone. 734 delegates across the southwest are expected to participate in the zonal congress. The chairmanship position is being contested by a former deputy governor of Oyo State, Taufik Arapaja, and the immediate zonal chairman of the party, Dr. Eddie Olafes. We will give you the full details in our subsequent bulletin. Nigerian women have been assured of a rebirth of a rallying point for skills acquisition, training and empowerment towards national development as the new DG for the National Center for Women Development, Dr. Asabe Vilita Bashir, takes over. Let's hear more from Mamso Demian Dati.
It's another new beginning of the leadership at the Women's Center, and that's the reason for the numerous guests at this moment. And to the boardroom, where the management staff and new boss settle for business of the day. The change of baton was effected. And finally, the DG, National Center for Women Development, settles for the new job.
We shall restructure, reposition, and rebrand the center for optimum results towards empowering the Nigerian women and for overall national development.
We thank Mr. President, we thank the wife of the President, we thank his Executive Council, and all that matters.
The excitement and joy reflect their expectations of a new regime.
It's a better deal for Nigerian women because women are really looking up to her. It's a new dawn for Nigerian women.
The spirit behind the center is what we are looking for, it to be rejuvenated.
Dr. Asabe Vilita Bashir hails from Goza local government area of Borno State, a graduate of chemistry and mathematics and a PhD in educational philosophy, a one-time lecturer, two-time member Borno State House of Assembly, then commissioner in various ministries before being elected into the National Assembly to represent Goza, Damboa, and Chibok Federal Constituency, where she served as Deputy Chairman, Women in Parliament. Before this appointment by President Muhammadu Buhari. Momso Damian Lati, NTA News.
The National Human Rights Commission has commenced the second phase of public sitting by the Special Investigation Panel on Sexual and Gender-Based Violence in Nigeria. Omenka Marachukwu reports that 32 cases have been slated for hearing at the sitting.
The increase in violence against women and girls, as well as the escalating number of cases due to COVID-19, has become worrisome to human rights defenders. Although government has put machineries in place to promote the fight against gender-based violence, the National Human Rights Commission is also supporting the fight.
There cannot be any effective solution to the problem of sexual and gender-based violence without sufficient attention to the issue of victim support and empowerment. Every intervention in this area must, as a matter of deliberate action, provide for on-the-spot compensation and support.
Mr. President, in his June 12, 2020 address to Nigerians, also reiterated government's determination to fight sexual and gender-based violence through the instrumentality of law and awareness creation. And this only shows that government is listening and government is also acting.
To this end, there is also a need for key actors from all sectors of society, such as the executive, legislature, judiciary, civil society, the media, and all levels to come together for effective defence to support victims of gender-based violence.
In the course of sitting, the panel will identify individuals responsible for any violations and abuses and make recommendations for further action. In Abuja, Umenka Mrachu, NTA News.
The second phase of Migration Information and Communication Campaign, tagged MICC, has been launched to increase greater awareness on the causative factors and dangers of irregular migration among the youths. Ngozi Silva Technical reports.
Continuous advocacy and enlightenment to keep Nigerian youths abreast of Migration Information and Communication Campaign is believed to be the antidote to poverty, ignorance, and youth unemployment that drives many to irregular migration. That is why this phase is being launched, involving multiple interest groups.
WAM is estimating that in Libya, for the moment, there are still around 60,000 Nigerians living partly in very difficult circumstances. This is why also the Nigerian government has been supporting voluntary return from Libya to Nigeria.
This project has 4 main objectives. 3, reduce incidences of irregular migration to Europe and deaths on the Mediterranean Sea and Sahara Desert. 4, on the medium and long-term basis, help in the reduction in the number of human trafficking, slave camps, and forced labor at countries of origin, transit, and destination.
It is expected that aggressive campaign and advocacy to dispel myths and ignorance surrounding Europe and other Western countries will reduce deaths in the Mediterranean and deserts and promote regular and orderly migration. Ngozi Silva, Technical, NTA News.
A look at sports now. Gold medal continues to generate more attraction, suspense and anxiety from athletes with extra performance in the ongoing National Sports Festival in Benin, Edo State. Correspondent Tamara Ibiwe has details for us.
Welcome to Edo 2020 Sports Update. I am Tamara Ibiwe. We begin with traditional sports, where Team Rivers won gold in the mixed doubles event of Abuja. Team Rivers outscored Edo 2-0 in a best-of-3.
My coach, Paul Assar, was taking us a very good training, because without training, you can't make very attack and a very good set.
Though it ended in chaos, a first-half goal by Esther Moses against Lagos secured gold for Edo in the women's football final.
I'm short of words. I'm so happy. Like our deputy told us yesterday, Edo no be Lagos. The goal is for us. Now we are here. We've gotten the goal.
It was marvelous. The game was tough anyway. They tried, but by the grace of God, we won the gold.
In handball, it was an intriguing final in the men's event. Kano fought hard to win gold, scoring 24-19 against Lagos.
He has missed it and he has beaten the goalkeeper. What a goal! What a goal! Very interesting goal!
The handball game is on a rising profile in this country. I've seen skills on part of our young girls and young boys, and I think that this country should start a program on handball so that this can rise up to the profile and eventually we can be world beaters.
Team, very young team. They've been together for a very long time. So anytime you want to play this team, you have good people, very good team, very technical team. Today, I think we are better.
I wouldn't say that, but let's say luck gave them the winning.
So what next for your team?
What next for my team? We'll still meet Kano in the league. We'll fight it out.
Golf event has commenced at the Benin Club Golf section. It was teed off by Governor of Edo State, Godwin Obaseki, his first appearance in this sports festival. Men's football final is ongoing. We'll bring you details in our subsequent bulletin. I am Tamara Ibiwe.
All right, so much excitement there. But let's get more sports news, and this time around, Kenne Ima Abudike guides us.